Upon the arrival in North Korea, a journalist should state that he or she is not a journalist. I said that I were not one, so I managed to get a permission to travel around the country. Journalists are rarely allowed to travel outside Pyongyang. So I managed to live the veil of true North Korea. Everything you see now was shot on my cell phone. If I had a professional camera, no one would believe that I was just a simple tourist. And most importantly, I were lucky to keep my videos after the trip was over.
Меня здесь скоро будут принимать за своего.
Please meet my guides, Comrade Jin Ran, Comrade Ken, and Comrade Lee. Greetings from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Comrade Jin Ran is the party officer whose duty is to supervise foreigner visitors. Her task is to introduce them to the Korean history and traditions, and also to convey the correct political information. The issue of North Korean ballistic missiles should be organic to Korean-American relations. During evening time, Jin Ran shone like a star with her vocal talents. Here's Comrade Kang, the officer. His task is to motion the movement of foreigner guests, to avoid their local context with them, and to make sure foreigners don't take any unpermitted photos. No matter how fast I run, my guide runs after me. He should always be there, next to me. Comrade Kang also appears to be a fan of karaoke and old Soviet songs. And Comrade Lee, who's also a driver. At some point, he gave instructions to the guides, with no talks with the tourists, only looking after them. Perhaps Comrade Lee was the group leader. Upon arrival in the DPRA key, the very first thing one should do is to pay tribute to the gun leaders, to the great teacher Comrade Kim II Song and his son, the great leader Kim Jong II. North Koreans love their leaders sincerely and selflessly. When I asked how much bronze it took to sculpt their statue, the answer was, as much as the hearts of the Korean people weighed.
Снимать их и фотографировать можно только в полный рост.
The locals come in groups only and silently make their worship ritual. They are students. Yes, they are in uniforms. Yes, they all are in white shirts. Very correct. So that one should know who's there. Another tradition, the newlywed come to the leaders of their wedding days. The guy is 34, the girl is 30. I expressed my wishes to the people of Korea from the people of Ukraine, and now our guide is translating it into Korean. In order to gain the trust of the guides, I wrote as an ardent supporter of the ideas of Chuchke. Our hearts are filled with a great respect for your resiliency and invincibility. Now I know how my name sounds in Korean. Roman Bochkala. The whole city at a glance from the hills of leaders.
Весь город как на ладони.
Pinyan in Korean means wide land, and Capital's avenues prove it's right. There are no traffic jams in North Korean capital. Citizens mainly take public transportation. Very few have personal cars. Trolley buses, buses, and trains, modern Chinese and very old ones, gifts from the USSR. Propaganda machines are everywhere. They carry part ideas for the people. And this is the only domestic car. Successful doctor, scientists, and engineers, as well as the party leadership, can afford this miracle of the North Korean technology. Sometimes one may run into premium cars, black plates for the military, blue for diplomats. Traditionally, leaders drive Mercedes. Horses are the second passion of the Kim family. This equestrian club was built especially for them. We were told that Kim Jong-un personal horse racer is kept here. Is the horse there? Yes, he's here. Can I have a look at him? But no one can see him. It's not allowed. No, not allowed. The site is strictly guarded. Military stands by their perimeter. They are hardly seen. Horses look quite fat and in a good hands, better than the horse keepers. These workers are separate from the riding area by the moat with the water and a whole social abuse. Most people just walk. The great Marshal Kim Jong-un introduces the sport atmosphere. One is ordered to walk 10,000 steps. We are now going up to the top of the Triumph Arch to see Pyongyang from a bird-eye view. Now it's a place of culture rest of our workers. From everywhere in the center of Pyongyang, one can see the highest building in the country, 105-floor hotel. It has been built for 30 years already. Another side of a special pride is the Triumph Arch. The Triumph Arch was built under the wise guidance of Comrade Kim Jong-il. This monument reflects a hard way of the great commander. Korea Hotel. They place foreigners here. Looks like a decent Egyptian 5-star hotel. The only thing, you cannot leave the premises without the permission of your guide. An attempt to leave the hotel for some fresh air was immediately suspended. Most of the residents are from China and Russia. Besides, we met a girl from Australia, a guy from Japan, and Stefan from Germany, born in the East Germany. He speaks Russian and says he's just a tourist. Well, let's see how the room looks. We were placed on the 33rd floor. Here's the hallway, and this is the room for conversations, reserving guests. 2 rather special beds. Well, to be honest, I'm pleasantly surprised, and even more, there's even a fridge and modern TV here. And a window. Okay, what kind of view do we have? Dark, but we can see something. It's Pyongyang at night. Street lamps dimly light somewhere. From 10 p.m. till 6 a.m., electricity is off in many areas. From everywhere there comes their row of generators. We're lucky, in tourist hotels has electricity all day long. 7 a.m., a horn. People wake up and go to the work. The DPRK has a 6-day working week. Vacations is 2 weeks a year. Sick leave is only a last resort option.
Доброе утро, страна!
Women say goodbyes to the workers heading to work. They smile and wave in sign of solidarity. Magenda village near Pyongyang is the birthplace of the great leader Kim Il-sung. For North Korean, is the place of the pilgrim and universal worship.
Здравствуйте.
Staff of enterprises, school classes, families come here. The birthplace of Kim Il-sung is a sacred place for North Koreans.
Здравствуйте, товарищи.
Hello, comrades! Without any extra words, everyone is waiting for his/her turn to join the atmosphere in which the future father of the nations was grown up.
아버님께서는 나라 차는 길에서 2번씩이나 일제놈들에게 체포되셨댔습니다.
Он 2 раза арестован японскими пальцами.
Полиция.
Kim Il-sung spent his childhood in this clay hut with the deadhead roof. These grandparents raised him, while the parents were actively participating in the liberation struggles. Leader's great-grandmother brought this defective tank. See, it's deformed. There was no money for another one. The description of the life stages of the father of the nations reminds the life of saints. Kim Il-sung is like a messiah in North Korea. He founded and led North Korea for nearly half a century. The basis of his ideology is the philosophy of Chuche. Monument to the Chuche ideas. Look how tall it is. Now we will try to climb it to the very top. It offers a wonderful panoramic view of Pyongyang. The scope of the construction should emphasize the scale of Chuche ideas. I am now on the top of the world's tallest stone tower. Its height is 150 meters. The main Chuche ideas is that a man is the master of his/her own destiny. Kim Il-sung peppered up the ancient teachings with a little bit of communist sauce and to choose your own way. The new era requires a new ideology, which would provide the measure for the main forces of his struggle, which the understanding that they are the masters of their movement. The revolution in the country should be held not with the permission of other countries, but thinking and thinking with your own mind and believing in your own power. That is, in the virtue of your people. This woman has dedicated her life to study of the Chuche ideas. She is a professor and member of the Korean Labor Party. In the Chuche ideas, the revolution is organized struggles from the independence of the masses. To win the fight, the masses should unite around the leader and the party of the basis of uniform guided ideology. Here I can even accurately quote, masses without a wise leaders are just like a human body without a brain. Chukchi ideas are important with the help of Songun police. This is in fact a guide to action in all spheres of life, so that the people and the army do not exist separately. There are monolithic armed people. The streets of Pyongyang prove it. The DPRK regular army is one of the largest in the world. 3 million boyans, with a population of 28 millions. Cities for the military are common here. Soldiers live in squalid mud huts of a barrack type. It's forbidden to take pictures of them. With the forces of the army, the embankment is reconstructed in Pyongyang. In North Korea, the military is not only the barrier for the aggressors, but also is a free labor force. For example, one of the new streets in Pyongyang, all these tower blocks were built by the military. The best developer will envy the place of the North Korean constructions. These houses were built in less than a year. An old Korean proverb says, "Every mountain and river change in 10 years." According to the party, the proverb has lost its meaning because the country is changing every single day. The center of science and technology achievements is the matter of the greatest pride. This building in a miniature is a reminder that it was built in just 1 year. The total construction area exceeds 160,000 square meters.
600 квадратных метров.
In the center of the building, there is an exact copy of the ballistic missile. During the military exercise, it has successfully stuck an imaginary goal. North Korean worship laser roads like ancient paragon phallus sculptures. Let's continue our journey. Unique North Korean technologies are also exposed here. For example, steel smelting without cooking coal. Koreans are proud that they have learned to live under sanctions and many goods. Large-scale construction projects began with the rise of the Kim Jong-un power. Tower buildings are designed to change the look of the capital. The country's economy is in ashes, but new buildings are growing like mushrooms. The practical application of all these hotels and shopping centers is hardly visible. They say that these houses have any interior decorations, just like outside decorations. People do not wear jeans in North Korea. Generally speaking, Western-style clothes is not welcome. Local fashion is classic, I would say. Here you won't meet a man in shorts or baseball cap. Here I am in a gray shirt and strict trousers, merging with the masses. The information that there are specific allowed hairstyles turned to be true. Schoolgirls and students used to wear the bob hair. Older girls have pigtails. After 30s, it is short hair. Men have extremely strict army options. No stubble or beard. After the scientific center, I was brought to the place of culture achievements.
Какая красота. Первым делом...
First of all, laying the flowers to the statue of leaders, and only then having a look at the architecture assembly.
Достижения местных
Here's their
художников,
achievements
картины,
of the local artists and
вазы,
sculptors.
скульптуры. Очень впечатляет,
This work is
особенно
particularly impressive.
эта работа по центру.
Attention, it cost 70,000 USD.
$70,000.
North Koreans have already understood that foreigners are interested in communist plots, landscapes, and still lives are worth a penny. Another thing is a work like this, a sort of revolution export. Its price is 1,200 USD dollars. What a beauty! Miners are miners everywhere, and they are black and orange in North Korea.
Добрый день.
Hello! Here's the silk stuff craftswoman work. This comrade girl embroidered such excellent handmade paintings. Unique technique that makes North Korean famous all over the world.
Северная Корея на весь мир. Обалдеть.
Wow, each knot this way.
Каждый узелочек.
A work on this painting has started 3 months ago.
Мы видим
Here's the pattern we see.
образец.
Focusing on it, they draw this beautiful picture.
Делая него, они создают эту прекрасную картину.
Some paintings take a years to paint.
Картины рисуют годами. Огромнейшее
A
полотно,
huge
просто даже не
artwork
помещается
doesn't
в
fit
кадр.
in the
Это
frame,
всё
handmade.
ручная работа.
This water waves, these rocks, all is hand
Всё
embroidered.
вышито руками, это ткань, это не
This
масло.
not oil, it's not watercolor. It's made with threads by hands of Korean craftswomen.
Мастериц.
Wow, just incredible.
Просто невероятно.
You can buy any of these works, for cash only. They have already forgotten about the SWIFT system. It was off 10 years ago and result of sanctions. The North Korean government immediately declared SWIFT is enemy technology of the West. In some hotels there are still extinct ATM ghosts. They remind of the failed attempts of the imperialists to take control of the banking system of the DPRK. Rich North
Богатый
Korean region.
северокорейский край.
Persimmons
Хурма растет
grow
по
all
всему
across
городу.
the city. Nobody
Никто её не
tears them.
рвёт,
Probably
наверное, потому что
it
ещё не
hasn't
поспело.
ripened yet. Well, to complete an entire picture of the fine art of the DPRK, we will get acquainted with the exhibition of the political posters. That is the case when propaganda tool became a culture phenomenon.
Вообще к Америке здесь.
There is a very negative attitude towards the USA here.
Соединенные Штаты
It is
воспринимаются
perceived
просто
here
как
as a hell child.
исчадие ада.
Emails are exotic in North Korean, so post stamps are not out-fashioned. For an attempt to take such a poster outside of the country, US tourist Otto Warmbier was sentenced to 15 years in a prison. The North Korean media recognized the attempt to steal the poster as an attempt to undermine the unity of the North Korean people. After 1.5 years in a prison, the guy was allowed to come home. Shortly after his release, he died. There is a morning music at Pyongyang Central Station every single hour. It's a reminder of the unlimited loss of Comrade Kim Jong-II. He died in 2011 in his special railway car, presented by Stalin to his father Kim's second son. We're passing by the station during the morning music. One has to express grief. The Sun Palace was Kim's second son's residence during his lifetime and after death.
Окна заложили камнями
Windows were
и
covered with
превратили
stones,
это
and the
место в
place
правду
right behind my
называемое
back was turned into
Мавзолеем.
mausoleum. Here lie an ashes of the great leader and his son Kim Jong-II. It is strictly prohibited to take photos. Even the wallets are taken at the entrance. Complete silence is observed during the procession. There are unprecedented security measurements here, and trust my word, one may hardly find a more pompous, majestic place. To get here is a great event in the life of any Korean. It's like a Hajj to any Muslim. Everything that the leaders touches has a ritual of holiness. A visit to the Museum of Gifts should be earned. It's not a right, it's a privilege. 80 halls, 10 of thousands of exhibits. People demonstrate how great their leaders are since they are given so many gifts. Video recording is strictly prohibited. Roman, please do not take pictures. The only thing what was allowed to be taken is this beautiful view from the observation deck. Military museums is another place of worship. It will take 3 days to walk around all of these halls. North Koreans are proud of the museum was built in less than a year, and whether it's a joke or not, 1 million hands was thrown into its creation. It is necessary to be tested before visiting. You can take pictures outside, not inside, not. The memorial was built in 1993. The museum was built in 2013. Its military equipment captured during the Korean War. As you can see, here are the wrecked cars, tanks, all originals, real military equipment of the US imperialists. The figures voiced by the guide raise big questions. I will name them for understanding the categories operated by local propaganda. We shot down 12,000 of American planes. That the plane was indeed shot down and where it was. And now it's here, in the museum. In Pyongyang, the American imperialists dropped a large number of bombs, 428,000. Pyongyang population back then was 400 people. Here is the main military trophy, Pueblo, as US spy ship captured in 1968. In the United States, there is a small city of Pueblo, Colorado. Here you see an English letter written on this front. They mean civilian oceanographic ship. Those were American imperialists who disguised their spy ship. According to the North Koreans, the American ship entered the territorial waters. That is why it was attacked. This ship is still considered to be in a captivity. Here we caught a Pueblo and brought it to the Wonsan port. We will visit Wonsan later, and now we will continue our study of the Pyongyang. When I saw a temple, I couldn't believe my eyes. Hello. Korean atheism ends where the Russian interests begin. The decision to build a temple was made during the between Putin and Kim Jong-II, 11 years ago. Then Father Fyodor believed in a God. What seminary did you attend? The one in Moscow? And why did you choose Christianity? Orthodoxy. The great leaders decided to build a temple in Pyongyang. And then I decided to accept the Christian faith. The staff of the Russian embassy comes here. Leaders replace God for the locals. This demonstration of thousands of people is testimony to that. The kwai sounds from the meeting. Foreigners are not allowed to attempt such events, and even more to record it, but I managed to film something. US daily statement gathered Pyongyang residents for multi-thousand demonstrations. Well, for this one, at Kim Il-sung Song Square, hundreds of thousands people came. It was a training meeting. The excited Koreans were learning new movements. People are regularly brought to rehearsals in droves. Everyone must know his/her maneuver. People and party are united.
Что значит народные массы? Это просто.
After such a rapid presentation, a great dinner is waiting for me. The moment of truth, traditional Korean dog soup. After slaughter, the dog carcass is soaked for 12 hours. The meat is then boiled for 2 hours and served with broth, noodles, and chicken egg. Dog fat is presented in seasoning with spices. Could you please tell how one should eat dog meat? We need to mix the broth with spices. Dog is especially good in heat. It helps to survive the heat. The DPRK authorities claims that there are no farms or cultivation of dogs for culinary purposes. Nevertheless, there are unofficial special dog kennels. Honestly, I'm nervous. Somehow the hand doesn't rise. But it's a tribute to the tradition, nothing more. So please, dog lovers, do not blame me. Giving it a try. It was broth. And now I'm actually trying the meat. The main thing is not to think at this moment that you are eating a dog and then everything is fine. By the way, they don't know about the existence of Korean carrot in the Korea itself. Here is a pickled cabbage, kimchi. The turtle is the most amazing thing that we managed to try in North Korea. It was served alive. An only decent store in Pyongyang is a department one. Even a delicatessen may be found here, but one may come here for the tour only, if he/she are an average worker. However, there are quite many shoppers here, so it means there are still some wealthy citizens in DPRK. Ukrainian ice cream is sold in North Korea. On coupons, soap, washing powder, rice, 600 grams per day. Deficit products are oil, meat and sugar. and this picture was required to be removed. It is good that it could be restored. There is a subway in Pyongyang, 26 kilometers, 7 stops, 2 branches. Korean metro is as deep as the Kyiv one. In general, there are many things in common. You can see right away that Soviet engineers designed it. Portraits of leaders, even in carriages. Well, newspapers are one of the main sources of information. They are at the metro station and other crowded places. Party decisions are one of the front pages. International news is on Sunday, on the first TV button. There are only 3 TV channels. Electronic newspaper in North Korea is when you photograph it and then read it from the phone screen. And here comes the most interesting part of this trip. It is outside Pyongyang. Foreigners are rarely allowed deep into this countryside. A low density of buildings strikes the eyes. Community settlements are quite rare. The guide reads fresh propaganda, volition to make the monotones ride different. Great power, chauvinist and capitalist aggressions changes a lot in the history of the first period of the Korea style. Our great leader and the great master solved the problem brilliantly. We managed to get to one of the ancient Buddhism monasteries. Moreover, to my surprise, this object turned to be protected by UNESCO. Acting is purely formal. Nobody but the guardian, Comrade Kang, performed an Asian Buddhist rite. It is a rare case to see the cattle. In North Korea, there is virtually no commercial animal production. Every free inch of land is sown with the rice or other crops. I've been long begging my guide to take me to the village. He kept saying it was not an agenda. I'd like to get to the village. Ah? I lived in the village myself. So I talked to him over the ideologist way. The great leader relied on the present masses during the revolution. How one could not talk to those beautiful people? We were brought to one of the most prosperous collective farm. But even here, the labor is mostly manual. Tractors are rare. Tractors are replaced by oxen-lead cars and plows. When asked why people collect rice with hands, a notorious collective farmer explained it in 2 minutes. And the interpreter got the answer to 2 words only. It's a technology. This cooperative brings together 3 villages. It employs 600 people. A schedule for the grains distribution is one on the wall. Food products are brought to the village store. A store that has everything, except for the customers. North Korean citizens don't have passports. They have only a birth certificate and certificate of the resident registration. Entrance to the capital is by passes only. If you are not Pyongyang resistant, please make sure to inform local authorities to the purpose of your visit to the Sun City. Persimmon tree is a symbol of honor. It is a favorite tree of the leader. The great leader has set the task. The tree has to bear 800 fruits, and the tree exceeded the plan next year. It bore 1,000 of fruits. Here's the concrete road ends, and tourists are not taken any further. We were led to another side to show the house of the perfect collective farmer, who complained of during our arrival to the village. This is where I live, her house. My son is in the army. He is a border guard. The youngest is still in school. My daughter is a teacher. Here I am with a fish in my hand, given by the Grand Marshal. A reward for hard work. The farmer proudly showed another picture. On it, half a century ago, the great leader holds a working meeting in the collective farm. Among the presents were the mother-in-law of our heroine. At that time, my mother was a brigadier worker. While I was testing the persimmons, the woman showed how great her TV works. In the kitchen, empty polished pots, as if it's not a house, but a museum. Evening, getting darker. The light should have to be on the time, but the windows are dark. Electricity is in a short supply. The place of our overnight stay, ski resort built in 2013 as instructed by the Grand Marshal. There are no tourists in this hotel either. It's literally empty. There is no free internet across the North Korea. But foreigners are allowed to surf half an hour every day. That's why each room has such a cable. I tried to connect, but the internet didn't work. At the reception, they suggested I should try to connect tomorrow. Email can be used by prior request from special computers. Now let's see how telephone connection works. We were assured that we can easily call to Ukraine. Now I will try to call my wife in Kyiv. Hello, sunshine. Do you hear me? Hi, Bunny. How are you? Mobile connection is local only. Foreigner SIM cards do not work. There are two operators, work across the province. It is not possible to reach local numbers from abroad. There was no time to enjoy the delight of the resort. New road next morning. All through, there is something worth seeing. Alpine-style resorts. Probably it should remind Kim Jong-un on Switzerland, where he allegedly secretly educated. We are going to Wonsan, a city of strategic importance, naval base. It is particularly here that one of the Koreans carried out of their secret nuclear tests. This is a dual-purpose concrete track. It can be used as a runway as well.
Вот, пожалуйста, весь город идет на митинг, возмущенный политикой Соединенных Штатов.
Wonsan is like Sevastopol. Lots of military and strong anti-American sentiments. People from all across the city took organized lines to walk the square. The guy didn't allow us to come closer to the demonstrators, like they shouldn't be bothered. The city is so secret that we weren't even allowed to stop in it. Wonsan turned to be a transit point to the way to the exempling pioneer camp. So here is a pioneer camp called Songwon. a kind of North Korean Artek. Approximately 1,000 of kids rest in this pioneer camp at the same time, from China, Nigeria, Russia, Tanzania, and by the way, even from Ukraine in 1990s. As a reminder of the hungry 90s, a photo of Kim Jong-second in an empty children's dining room. Time was very harsh. That period is called in North Korea history as a difficult trip. The leadership of the party assures that it is already a history. Here we see rice, pork, duck, chicken, fish, egg. And is this given every day? Vegetable, fruits, candy, cookies, flour, sugar, red pepper, garlic, onion, whatever you need, acid is acid. How do you like it here? Do you like it? Yes. It is dog soup. It's chicken with changshan. It's rice and vegetables, and it's a boiled chicken. And what are these dishes? This is a bread with pine leaves. Education of young people in North Korea is of great importance. Leaders didn't come to any other places as to be this one. The training base for the elite of the society, the future of Komsomol and party members. On the way back from the camp, and we pass one son again. Comrade Guide read the battle list. The issue of North Korean ballistic missiles should be organic to the Korean-American relations. Plus, it should be recalled that among all states that have ICBMs, International Ballistic Missiles, there were no other country except us that managed to launch a rocket. DPRK foreign ministers express message: we will often send large and small gifts. Half an hour from the camp, we meet other children, grimy, picking rice with hands. Please take the candies. I want to give candies to the kids, but they were told to run away. We are riding towards to the south of Similfori, another short stop. The East Sea. Japan is there, far away. This sea is called the East Sea exclusively in the DPRK. For the whole world, it's Japanese. Barbed wire is along the shore. Well, here comes the first impression of North Korean village life. I will tell you how it is. The landscape and the standards of living don't differ that much. You can't talk with a local without guide's permission. My attempt was aggressively stopped. Do you speak Russian? What is your name? I'm Roman, and you? Nice to meet you. You have a wonderful country. Incredibly beautiful. Stop talking. What did he ask you about? Nothing. Go where you were going to. This is my new hotel. There is a huge territory, a restaurant, a duty-free shop. But it's not worthy, because there's absolutely no customers.
А теперь давайте посмотрим, что в номерах.
You see a Korean TV here. South Korean, to be more precise. Yes, it is nice. Which brand? And then I saw that the brand was scaled with the black tape, so that the enemy symbols were not recognized in North Korea. It looks like a regular nightstand, but it's confusing. The bottom drawer doesn't open. It contacts to the upper one, which is completely empty. It is interesting. What is hidden at the bottom of that drawer? Let's move the nightstand, and what do we see? Lots of wires. It is not clear where they lead to. And they are in the drawer. A nightstand has this strange thing. We can only guess what it is for. Spy findings worsened the mood, but local singings or dancing stars made it better. The North Koreans have a national love for the karaoke. North Korea is not only socialism and equality of workers' rights, but it's also incredibility beauty. Long live the socialism system. Yes, that's what's written here. Those who have been to the south and north of the peninsula say that the north is richer and more beautiful. Deep coast, wonderful mountain mixed with the rocks, islands on fancy shapes. Everything is untouched. A small number of tourists is the benefit of our nature. If you want to be alone on the beach, it is not necessary to book tourists of expensive islands. It's enough to get to the North Korea, and the beach will be for you only. The quality of the beach sand and the water clearly are not worse than those in the elite resorts. We were told that the beach is empty because the country is preparing to counter the US aggression. North Korea doesn't exist separately from its people and the army. They're a unique armed nation, and now it's time to test its strength. Sometimes you meet foreigners. Here's my new friend Stefan. We meet him in Pyongyang. Or look at these caves, they're literally fascinating. I've traveled all over the world, but I've never seen anything like this. This place also remembers South Korean guests. In early 2000s, a betterment in relations was noted. South Koreans were allowed to visit their relatives in North. Many meet for the first time in 30-40 years. These hotels were built by Southerners for their fellow citizens visiting North Korea. The relationship went so far that many spoke about Koreans' unification. But in 2008, the thaw was replaced by another ice age. An innocent South Korean tourist was shot dead. It caused resentment in South. The rhetoric of reconciliation has been replaced by mutual accusations. As a result, freezing of peace negotiations. In war, everything is relatively to the parties of the conflict. Here in the North, it is believed that no South Korean exists. There is one Korean nation, one single Korean peninsula, one country, the southern part of which has been occupied by imperialists. I can't believe I'm on the 38th parallel right now. This is a map of the demilitarization zone. Now we will see everything with our own eyes. We inspect the room for the talks on truce. Neutral zone. We're led to the hall where the fateful signatures were put. Can I even sit? Here at this table, the representative of North Korea signed a fateful peace agreement. And there is a signature put by the US representative. Since then, for 6 times did North Korea officially declare itself of no intentions to complete with their treaty. The parties were on the threshold of large-scale hostilities. Now there is another warming. This is where the leader of 2 Koreas recently met. Who knows, maybe April 27, 2018 will go into history at the countdown point, which will lead to peace. The leaders of the fraternal state have declared their readiness to the sign of the peace already this year. Here's just one difficulty. North Korea should forget about its nuclear weapon. And the powers are to stop playing all the contradictions using each side to their advantage. Only then the dream of united Korea becomes a reality.